The Lyft CEO has some very interesting words about Uber. New Lyft CEO says the company can succeed without annihilating Uber. Going down here, he talked to Jim Cramer, and he said, to quote, "I don't need to dethrone a king." And I think it makes sense, right? I feel like if you're trying to grow a company, it's very easy to compare yourself to somebody else, but he's saying, look, we're just gonna do our own thing. 5 years from now, I hope there are people that are no longer asking about Uber and Lyft. I hope what they're saying is, look what an amazing experience Lyft has created that'll help us get out and live our lives. I kind of respect that. He's basically saying, look, if you think about Uber, you automatically think about Lyft and vice versa. Uber versus Lyft or Lyft versus Uber, however you want to look at it, is always a big thing in ride sharing. And I kind of respect this perspective of saying, look, I'm not trying to battle Uber. I'm not trying to, overtake them or anything. I'm just going to run my own race, which I think is, I'm not going to lie, a smart idea, right? Going down here, in the first quarter, for example, I've talked about Lyft's revenue and everything, especially their stock prices and whatnot. Lyft's revenue totaled $1 billion, up 14% from last year, which is good, and larger than the $982 million consensus estimate. So things are slowly getting better for Lyft, right? Which is amazing. There's a couple of things they are doing. I did notice this as well. There's a new feature when it comes to airport pre-order meant to streamline airport pickups. As we all know, leaving the airport, is insane, right? Reminds me of that Seinfeld episode when he says, someone's trying to be too much of your friend when they either ask you to help you to move or to drive you or pick you up from the airport. But you can see right here, the new feature allows Lyft customers to book rides as soon as their plane hits the tarmac, with the app scheduling pickups with an eye toward unpredictable airport nuances like waiting for baggage claim. So you can land, immediately, order the Lyft, and as opposed to you having to wait to the section or the pickup section, you can order it and the app will pretty much do the rest, which is kind of cool. It's currently available right now in Chicago and LAX. So with a few other airports on the way soon, I bet there's a lot behind the scenes to figure this out in terms of where you are physically. Like they said, the baggage claim, is there a delay trying to bring the plane to the gate, et cetera, et cetera. But there is some interesting things they're doing as well. This, I think, is kind of unique. Wait and save. I remember when this came out, I thought this was a genius idea. In case you don't know what wait and save is, wait and save, the idea, it's actually pretty self-explanatory, but the idea is you can say, hey, I don't mind waiting 15 minutes to get my Lyft. So therefore, if I wait 15 minutes, it's going to be cheaper than if I order the Lyft right now to have it right here. And you can see this allows customers to be flexible with the pickup times to obtain a lower price. The feature accounts for 30% of Lyft's volume. I did not expect that. I mean, I could see it being pretty common because when you pull up the Lyft app, it says, hey, order now, get picked up within 5 minutes, get picked up within 10 minutes, and then sometimes I even see get picked up within 15 to 20 minutes. And as you can imagine, the longer that you wait, the cheaper the ride's gonna be. I didn't expect 30% is a lot. That means roughly about 1 every 3 Lyft rides are using the wait and save feature. And I think this is huge because as you can see here, the option is more popular with customers than pooled rides. A lower cost option, Lyft officially discontinued, that allowed riders heading in similar directions to share rides. I just did a video about this, and one con of that, looking at both the pros and cons of everything, there's always 2 sides to everything. I was surprised because I'm like, I could see a lot of people being disappointed about not having Lyft shared rides because it's cheaper, but the wait and save kind of solves that issue. It's like, hey, you want to save money, we get it, but instead of being in a car with other people, it being annoying, it taking longer in terms of being in the car with dropping off and picking people up, just wait a little bit and save. You hang out at your house, maybe schedule it in advance, being like, okay, I'm getting ready now. I'm going to order it while I'm getting ready, because then in 10 minutes, when I'm done getting ready, the Lyft might be here or whatever. And then in addition, he did mention autonomous vehicles may not meet the cards for just yet. I mean, again, I'm very against AI, but autonomous vehicles, we'll see what happens, But I do agree with this, that you might be surprised that it comes over the next couple of years a little faster than you think. So that's the future of Lyft. Things are looking pretty good. I gotta be honest, I'm really liking what the CEO is doing. Yes, some of his moves can be questionable, right? For sure. But I mean, David Risher, like I said, the new CEO of Lyft, I gotta give him credit that the second he stepped in as CEO, he immediately went into action. I got to respect that move. I mean, again, some things maybe not the best. Like I said, he did lay off over 1,000 people. I did a video about that. Of course, not good. He said to all the workers, hey, you have to come back to the office. I love working from home. I've been working from home for years. Granted, I'm more of an entrepreneur. I make music and YouTube videos. But even still, it's like, saying to everyone, hey, I know you've been loving remote working, because who doesn't? It's easier with family and logistics and dealing with traffic, whatever. It's probably cheaper too in terms of living expenses. But now he's making everyone go back to work. But he is immediately making moves left and right, here and there. And I will say, when it comes to this, I do respect his perspective of saying, look, I'm going to run my own race. I remember, this reminds me, not to get philosophical, but when I did track and field, I remember my coach said, you race with others, but you compete only with yourself. And that's something I always really stuck with. I feel like not just for track and field or like Lyft and Uber, but pretty much life. It's very easy, I think. We see this all the time online with like likes and followers and on YouTube subscribers and view counts and all this kind of stuff. It's very easy to compare yourself to other people. But I think overall, it's one thing to look at someone else and be competitive in a friendly way. Like, oh, I'm going to try to, get better at my craft. But it's another thing to say, look, yeah, I can make this as Lyft versus Uber thing, or Uber versus Lyft or whatever. But you know what? I'm just going to run my own race. I'm just going to do my own thing. And I respect that he's kind of doing that, right? And I think that a lot of the moves he's making right now, I think are smart. One, the whole airport pickup thing, I think is a very smart idea. Is it going to work logistically? I don't know. I mean, like I said, they are doing it right now in Chicago and LAX. And so I think for each airport being a little bit different, I do appreciate that they are trying to do it with just two. Because I feel like there is a lot of tricky things. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I fly a lot. But even so, I don't even know what would go into the back end of something like that. I mean, do you have to keep track of all the baggage times and everything? Do you have to somehow communicate with the airport itself if a plane gets delayed, even though it landed, but getting to the gate itself? Let's say, a plane's coming and something breaks down on the plane on the ride over to the gate. That's something you have to keep track of. I guess you could use like a flight tracker and maybe enable that algorithmically with the app. I'm honestly not sure, but I think it is a smart idea. If it does work, that's a good idea, because I remember, and I do this all the time, doing that kind of like math out, or like time math, where I'm like, okay, I just landed. I shouldn't order the Uber or Lyft yet, but if I walk all the way to the pickup option and I order it, it can be a long wait. I will say though, at LAX, it's gotten a little bit better. They do have the LA exit. In case you don't know, you have to get on this, super annoying, but you have to get on this bus. The bus brings you to the pickup area. Once you get to the pickup area, it's pretty fast. So I feel like this might speed up some things, but I'm gonna be honest, I think it's a very niche thing. I could see a lot of people saying, hey, I know I can order the Lyft now and it'll be there when I get there, but I might just wait just to be safe. I can see this being something that's not gonna be game changing per se, but the wait and save option, I think absolutely is. I will say for me, I know, when certain things are going on during the pandemic and money's very tight, I remember this kind of came out about like during that time, and the wait and save option was very popular. And so I do respect the Lyft is saying, look, we're just going to go back. Like I mentioned in the first video I did about David Reisher, I do respect that he's saying, look, we're just going to go back to what the passengers want, what the drivers want. For a driver, if you think about it, doing a wait and save option, way better, because you can get that ride. You don't have to deal with the whole pooling aspect or the shared ride aspect. And for the passengers end, they're spending less money. And so I think it's kind of like a win-win for everyone. And I think that's pretty big. And then when it comes to everything of them versus Uber, I mean, the Lyft versus Uber debate is still heating up. But I do respect the whole aspect of saying, look, we're just going to run our own race, right? And with all these things that Lyft's planning, I'm very curious to see what's going to come out time and time again. The only thing that does concern me, I have to be honest, is yes, Lyft has done a little bit better than they were expecting. So things are now on the upswing. Things are now getting better, but Uber's still continuing to be big. And I know that, yes, he's trying to frame it as Uber versus Lyft is not a thing that he's looking at. He's looking at it as just Lyft being a good company, but it is still something on everyone's mind. And especially if you look at the wait and save option, it's nothing proprietary. It's nothing that's patentable, so to speak. You can't say, hey, we're the only one that is wait and save. It would probably take Uber, I don't know, a week, maybe, I don't know all the programming behind it, but it would be super quick and easy for Uber to implement that wait and save option. But Uber's still doing Uber's thing. They're still exploring all these options I've done a bunch of videos about. They also have the shared ride option sale, or UberX Share. And I'd be curious to see, will Uber follow suit? Do you think shared rides could be potentially a thing of the past? Like, and I've mentioned this in other videos, I don't see shared rides being as popular because, like I said, the biggest thing with them back in the day was you have to spend more time in the vehicle, and sometimes it's been annoying dropping people off and picking them up, but you spend more time in the vehicle for a cheaper ride. One, though, now it's like, well, it's not really that much cheaper. You know, like I said, I think you get, what, like 5% off? That extra 40 cents or whatever, not worth it to most people. But the second thing is like, okay, I can either take a shared ride where I'm spending way more time in the vehicle, or I can order a wait and save through Lyft and just be able to spend more time in my house, and like you can easily balance it with your schedule. You're like, okay, I think I'll be ready to leave in 10 minutes. It's gonna be here within 15 to 20 minutes. I'll just order the Lyft now, and then boom, I'll be good to go whenever. And it's gonna be probably cheaper than UberX Share. Being honest, yes, you save money through an UberX Share, but with Wait and Save, I've seen some pretty ridiculous deals doing Wait and Save where it can send you sometimes even up to $10. It kind of reminds me of the old school Uber pool days of how much money you could save. And especially with the Wait and Save, you get the entire vehicle to yourself, which I feel like for a lot of people right now just seems a lot better, you know? And so I think everything Lyft is doing is looking really, really well. I'm really excited to see what happens. The autonomous vehicles, I do think it's a good idea. Like I said, I am aggressively against AI. Autonomous vehicles, I feel skeptical about, but I'm still okay with. Like, I don't mind being in a self-driving car. I think that's a little bit different. I still think eventually AI might take over, but anyway, whole other subject for a whole other video, but I think this is good. Lyft is doing a lot of big things now, and I think this is like another step up that I feel like almost every week, it's almost ironic how I feel like every week or 2 weeks, I hear about a new feature Uber's doing, right? Whether it's Uber Explorer, Uber Charter, Uber Parking, Uber Rentals, the list goes on and on. And it seems like almost every week now, I'm hearing a new story about David Risher, the new CEO, and what he's doing to implement with Lyft, talking about, hey, like his main ideas, his concepts, or what he's doing in the company, new features, removing features, like removing Lyft shared rides. The battle's heating up, and I'm not gonna lie, Lyft seems to be really right now on the right foot. I think him, and also, again, it's tough to say what happens behind closed doors, but I think him becoming CEO, I think is a really good move, because it seems like immediately he's taking pretty much action right away, which I feel like he kind of has to with Lyft getting worse and worse. But I'm not gonna lie, I really like what they're doing. And like I said in other videos too, I feel like for most drivers, they do favor Lyft more than Uber. I think Lyft does treat their drivers better than Uber if I had to look at both of them. You could look at this as some statistics though, where, I mean, if you think about it, if there's, it's kind of like looking at ratings, right? If there's 100,000 ratings versus 1 million ratings, just by the math, of course, there's gonna be more negative ratings with 1 million ratings. Doesn't mean that product or service is necessarily bad. It's just that the more ratings there are, the more negative ratings there are gonna be. So it could be that, I'm not gonna lie, that because Uber's significantly more popular and more popular in, you know, different parts of the world as well, Lyft only being in the US and Canada, with that, it's inevitable that Uber is going to have more negative reviews. But even still, I still feel like for most drivers, they do feel like Lyft treats them better. But like I've said in other videos, I said this a couple of months ago when I was in Austin, Texas, that Lyft has removed a lot of their bonuses recently. They're paying drivers less recently. And for a lot of drivers, they're like, well, if I'm getting paid less and no bonuses, where when I used to get bonuses, why not drive for Uber? And same thing for a lot of passengers. I know a lot of passengers have commented on my videos saying, yeah, Mark, I'm not gonna lie, I take Lyft and Uber. Lyft is more expensive now. And I hate to say it, even though I might like Lyft more, the bottom line is the bottom line. The numbers are the numbers. And if the numbers are just better for Uber, if it's cheaper to take an Uber, I'm gonna take an Uber. But I think everything he's doing right now, I think is in the right step. I think he's moving in the right direction. So I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the first time in maybe a year, honestly, because I've done a bunch of videos about this, like Uber versus Lyft and the good and the bad. This is probably the first time in a year that I've seen this kind of perspective of like, you know what? I feel like Lyft is starting to now kind of pull back up, starting to get their head above water. Things are looking really good. So I'm not gonna lie, because I do like Lyft more than Uber, I have to be honest, and I have no affiliation with either company. This to me is a really, really good sign and a good direction.